All right. Sorry for the slight delay. We are live everywhere now, and we are talking today about how to annihilate vocal fatigue. So, are you are you somebody who experiences vocal fatigue? And what that is I mean, those of you who experience it, you probably already know, but it's, that feeling of like where you lose your voice, you get really hoarse after a period of time of singing, an hour of singing. Like you can get really vocally fatigued at gigs or at rehearsals or at your own practice, where after you're done singing, you have much less voice, you're raspy. It's very hard for you to sing the higher part of your range. You might even have to just shut up and go on vocal rest for a day or two before you can sing again. So that's vocal fatigue. And it needs to be taken very seriously because it's the leading contributing factor to vocal injury. So if you are always fatigued after you sing and you sing like that for a long period of time, that is how singers get nodes, get vocal hemorrhage, get vocal paralysis. So vocal fatigue is something to pay attention to if you experience it, because it means that you're not using your instrument in the correct way in order to get the best possible sound. And so a major reason that you're experiencing vocal fatigue is because so many of you are manipulating your resonance. And in doing so, you're putting way too much pressure on your larynx and fatiguing your vocal cords. So let me give you a couple examples of what I mean by this and how this works. So when we think about where the larynx is, and your vocal cords are just, like these super fine butterfly wings, kind of like that's how thin and fine they are. And they come together just on the very edges, and they sit inside the disc of the tissue of your larynx. And that sits, in the disc that's right inside here. And any pressure that gets put on the larynx, either from the muscles in the neck around the larynx, from tongue bearing down and pushing on the larynx, from jaw and the muscles around it tightening and constricting and closing off this space, or also from your soft palate inside resonance space being low and pushing down, any of that pressure that is directional from above to the larynx below can be very detrimental and cause vocal fatigue, because that pressure causes the vocal cords to be held together, and instead of flowing gently like this, which is how the vocal cords vibrate, it holds them and it whacks them and it rubs them, that pressure. And that's what creates the vocal fatigue, because it creates edema, swelling of the cords themselves in various areas. And so the cords then don't seamlessly come together. And that's why you get an airy, raspy sound, because the air is escaping, because the cords are not seamlessly coming together, okay? So it is that pressure that can come from the muscles around the larynx, the tongue bearing down, the muscles around the jaw, the soft palate bearing down, that cause that pressure can cause swelling based on all of that singing with all of that pressure on your cords. And that's what creates the fatigue and what can eventually create the vocal injury. So a lot of the reason that pressure comes in is because so many of you manipulate your resonance. And so what do I mean by that? So, okay, we all have a sound that we think that we need to have to be successful. It's a sound that we think, needs to be more powerful, more, more deep, more beefy, more whatever. We think we need to push and sing higher. And so all of the manipulation, the way that we manipulate a sound to be whatever we think we need to sound like to be successful, is we tend to do it by using our tongue, our jaw, our soft palate, or the sides of our neck to manipulate the cords into a sound that is not really their own. An example of that would be like if I wanted to sound like Kermit the Frog, right? Let's say I was going to do a Kermit the Frog impression, and I'm going to say, "Hi ho, Kermit the Frog here," and I was even going to sing with that sound. Now I sound like Shakira. That she sings with a ton of pressure on her cords, and it has affected her over time. But the way that I'm making that sound is I'm manipulating my tongue. I'm contracting my tongue, and I'm putting pressure of the base of my tongue onto my cords, and that's how I'm getting that sound. Okay, I'm not saying that you want that sound. I'm just saying like how we use the resonant structures in our body, our tongue, our jaw, our soft palate affects the sound. And so many of you are manipulating your resonance to get a sound that you think you need, that is more powerful, that is more whatever, because you don't know how to use your resonance to get that power, to get that full, beautiful sound in a healthy way. So you do it with all these manipulations, and then you put way too much pressure on your larynx and you fatigue your cords. Okay. So this is why I'm doing a resonance reset training, because you guys cannot afford to understand. I mean, you can't afford not to understand how to use these structures to get out of the vocal fatigue, to get out of the manipulations that you're doing. The way that you annihilate vocal fatigue is by understanding how to use the structures of your resonance, your tongue, your jaw, your soft palate space, and the open throat, to be able to sing in a way that is more free and much more powerful and organic based on your unique sound. But what it sounds like in your head is not what it sounds like out here to us. And so you're judging and making distinctions about what sounds good and what doesn't based on something going on that you hear in your head, which is not what we hear out here. So you're using all these resonance structures to manipulate a sound that sounds good inside your head, but doesn't actually sound good out here to us, and it fatigues you. Okay. So that's why I'm doing a resonance reset training series. It's coming up November 4th and 5th. So next week, Tuesday and Wednesday, 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific, 90 minutes. Okay. And I'll put the link in the chat so you can reserve your spot, but I'm going to tell you exactly what we're going to be doing so that you understand if this is something that you think would be right for you. And by the way, if you have vocal fatigue, you have to be there, because if you have vocal fatigue, you're using the structures of your resonance in the wrong way without even realizing it. And it's not serving you, and it's causing you to be fatigued. And then all of the ways in which that lack of confidence prevents you from going after the things that you really, really want. Okay. So I think I put the wrong thing in the chat. I had copied this link for you, and for some reason it did not come in the right way. Hang on. And then I want to explain to you what we're doing. Okay. Okay. Sorry about that. You know, when you're live, you can't always be in your tech. Okay, so here we go. All right. Sorry, guys. There we go. Copy, paste, and I'll put it on Facebook for you guys too. Sorry. Okay. There we go. All right. So that's the link for you guys. So here's why this is so important, okay? Because there are things that you don't know, clearly, because you're using your resonance structures all wrong. If you have trouble mixing, finding a free head voice, expanding your range, if you feel like your voice hits a ceiling, if you have trouble moving through your break, if there's that crack and that yodel, and there's that fear around when you're moving from head voice into chest voice and so on, it's going to kill your confidence. And then when you're not confident, what are you doing? You're like grabbing even more. And now with all of that grabbing and all of that over control, that's even more pressure on your larynx, and you're going to be even more vocal fatigued than you would have been before. Okay. So I want to make sure that you guys understand, like, this is not what's the word? This is not a luxury, okay? Like, to be able to have rock solid resonance is an absolute must so that you don't get yourself into vocal fatigue and vocal injury. But the cool thing is, when you do have rock solid resonance, transitioning from chest to head and back in a smooth manner without that break becomes like piece of cake. Mixing, understanding how to mix, where you're mixing. Part of the reason you're so vocally fatigued is because probably you don't know how to mix. And so you're just ramming your chest voice higher and higher because you don't understand the structures that you need in your resonance to be able to make that transition smoothly. Belting. becomes so much easier when you understand how to stabilize your larynx instead of pushing and putting all that pressure, and being able to get up there into the top of chest voice without all of that pressure. Okay, so these are the things that I'm going to be walking you through and giving you new ideas, new ways to think about in the resonance reset training. Because the way you annihilate vocal fatigue is understanding how to take the pressure off of your cords. Get that the vocal fatigue is created by too much pressure on your cords. Okay, so the way you annihilate the vocal fatigue is understanding how to use your resonance to take the pressure off your cords, so you get a way more powerful sound, a way more impactful sound without the pressure and without the damage. And that has everything to do with how you use your soft palate, your tongue, your jaw, and the vowels and where they live inside you. Okay, and that's what we're going to be doing in the resonance reset training. So if you're experiencing vocal fatigue, get there. Get there. Do not wait. I put the link in the chat where you can register. It's free. It's free. I'm doing this because I want you guys to understand the things that are necessary to take you from point A to point B to point C. Okay, so next week, if you're already registered, I'm very excited to see you there. Let's annihilate vocal fatigue. Let's teach you how to have a really powerful sound in a way that is healthy and repeatable over and over again, so that you can sing an hour or 2 hour gig every night with full power, full confidence, and know that you can do it again the next night and the next night. And that way you're able to create the singing career that's really, really sustainable for you. And you know, that's the whole point. That's the whole point. All right, you guys, sending love, and I will see you in the reset training. Bye, everybody.